Welcome back to The Explainer. And today, oh man, we are getting into a story that is just bonkers. We're talking summer vacation, dark magic, and a full-on interdimensional war all smashing together. It's a crossover so weird, you really have to see it to believe it. So, how in the world do a giant bubble and a cosmic war even end up in the same sentence? Well, let's get into it. And believe it or not, this whole thing kicks off in the surprisingly chaotic world of Danville. Yeah, our story doesn't start with some big bad villain. Nope. It starts with a bunch of kids, their family car, and a giant bubble that has just scooped them up and is now carrying them into the sky. Totally normal. And you'd think the first thing on your mind would be, hey, we're in a bubble floating into space. But nope. The number one concern here is that this whole situation is completely wrecking a very, very carefully planned schedule. The priorities are something else. And what's so wild is how calm they are about it, at least for a second. How long are we going to be up here? A while. Just total acceptance of this insane situation. It almost sounds peaceful, right? Well, that feeling is not going to last. Because bam, a downdraft hits and suddenly they're falling. Total panic. But the solution they come up with? It's just as nuts as the problem. They decide to hyperventilate, to try and expand the bubble with their breath. And the craziest part, it actually works. They save themselves by freaking out in a coordinated way. Okay, so while all that is happening, let's just jump over to a totally different corner of the universe. A much, much darker corner where, let's just say, nobody is worried about missing a book recital. So here we've got two absolute legends of evil. Quan Chi from Mortal Kombat and Venger from Dungeons & Dragons. And what are they talking about? Teamwork, which for villains is always a problem. Quan Chi's like, no way, I'm not teaming up with a bunch of traitors. Someone's gonna backstab someone. But Venger's point is kind of terrifying. He's saying, look, we have to work together, at least for a little while, or darkness itself could be wiped out. It just goes to show you, the only time evil really cooperates is when its own neck is on the line. And this team-up, it gets so much worse. We're not just talking about those two. They're bringing in Muzan Kibutsuji from Demon Slayer, the original demon, and Onaga, the Dragon King from Mortal Kombat. This isn't just an alliance, it's like the supergroup of multiversal evil. Every single one of these guys is a final boss. And that's what makes this whole thing so incredibly dangerous and, so likely to fall apart. And here's the kicker. This is the part that tells you everything you need to know. Even as they're forming this alliance, Quan Chi basically says out loud what they're all thinking. I'm going to win, and then I'm going to destroy all of you. That's not just a threat. That's their entire philosophy. This whole team-up is just a means to an end. The backstabbing isn't a maybe. It's a win. Okay, so you've got these two totally separate plot lines, right? The kids floating in the bubble, and this council of cosmic evil. You'd think they have nothing to do with each other. Well, they're about to crash together in the weirdest way imaginable. So an hour later, who just happens to be strolling past this super secret evil meeting? None other than Monkey D. Luffy from One Piece. Just total random chance. He wasn't on some heroic quest, he was probably just looking for a snack, and he literally stumbles right into the middle of a plot to take over the multiverse. And boom, just like that, the fate of, well, everything now rests on the shoulders of the one guy who overheard the whole plan. No pressure, Luffy, no pressure at all. So Luffy does exactly what you'd expect a hero to do, right? He runs to get help from someone powerful, someone you can trust, the Thunder God, Raiden. But the answer he gets? Whoa. It is not what he was expecting. Not at all. And this is where everything just goes sideways. Luffy's like, we have to stop them. They're planning something huge. And Raiden, the guy who's supposed to be the protector, just shuts him down. Not my problem. And then he drops the bomb. I've already made a deal with the Emperor. And this right here is the heart of the betrayal. Raiden, protector of Earthrealm, has cut a deal with Shao Kahn himself. He's basically agreed to look the other way, to let Luffy fail, in exchange for a promise that Shao Kahn will leave his world alone after he's won. I mean, this is a tough one, right? What do you do when protecting your own people means sacrificing everyone else? Raiden made a choice, and it's a chilling one. He's trying to save his home, but he might just be damning the entire multiverse to do it.
So this all leads us to the final scene, and it is a wild one. You've got these two completely different worlds on a collision course.
On one side, you have this brand new, totally untrustworthy army of villains. They are marching off to war. They're united, for now, and ready to conquer everything.
And on the other side, our heroes from Danville are still just floating in that bubble, completely clueless about the cosmic war that's about to kick off right under them. Their biggest problem is still just, the wind. So that's where we're at. An army of the baddest villains in the multiverse is on the move. The one hero who knows about it has been betrayed by his strongest ally, and a car full of kids is floating around in a bubble. The stage is set, and you just have to ask, when these two worlds finally inevitably collide, what on earth is going to happen?